Hey guys, I am on the scene tonight here at the studio, but online with Doug Harper. Hey Doug,
Hello, Dominique.
how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
That is awesome. Now, guys, if you don't haven't seen him on the show before and don't know anything about Doug, um, he is the man for the local Nevada, Missouri music scene. So for the ones that don't know anything about you, why don't you let them know who you are, what you do, how long you've been around?
Okay. Well, I am 30 years in the making this year in the music world. I have been somewhere along the lines, I got decided I really liked Nevada. I tried to get away from it for years, and I was on tour and I was gone. But then I just kept thinking, oh, that would be so cool back home. So then I just realized I was like, I'm just going to try to make things happen in my hometown. Not that I don't want to go other places, but so I've put a lot of effort, time, money, years into trying to develop a small town music scene. And then, mostly when it's successful, it usually has nothing to do with me, but then they give me credit anyway. And then when it's failing, it's usually my fault. So
It's still your fault.
so when it's but yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of people started in the music business up here, and everything. And I really now I really just want to. I'm like I was trying to do it all just so I could play music, and then I got
Mhm.
caught up in being a promoter. And so I have a magazine that's subscription based that goes out to subscribers in 12 states. Then I have a what I call a news zine that's like a once a month type thing that talks about our buzz, our music scene up here. And then I have a podcast called Lunch with Doug. Um, and then I have like I said, my music, which is under the moniker Dangerous Doug Harper. And then I promote a lot of people. I promote like a DJ, and I promote a couple DJs really, um, and just whatever. But then the Found Space is kind of like what I've really always wanted, because I wanted a gig that I could play and be a songwriter and create, music. And I've been in cover bands, and I've been in, bands that had like albums out, but then also did cover songs. And I just really feel like, and I'm not the only one that feels this way. I think this is a real answer. I think it is. You can kind of be one or the other. You can't really be both. And
Mhm.
so I'm getting, 30 years into it. And I'm like, you know what? I just am going to do what I do now. And that's really what's happening. And so um, I basically tried to open a venue called Red Cherry Alley, and it's still going to be a brand, but I can't really talk about it. But it basically went the wrong direction. So I was like, oh, wow, talk about a valuable learning lesson. So I learned a lot from that. And so my new album is called Red Cherry Tragedy instead of Red Cherry Alley. But
I was
uh,
going to ask you about that. Yeah, I was like,
yeah, mum's the word. The,
yeah,
the official answer is it just didn't work out. Let's
didn't
just say
work out. Hey, but like you said, it was a learning lesson, and that's one step closer to something even cooler. So,
yeah.
um, I really like the name that you named your found space because it's like, everybody's looking for somewhere to play, and you're like, oh, I found space.
Yeah.
What
Well,
inspired you for the name?
there was a girl. Isn't
Mhm.
that what inspires us all? A very intelligent woman. She was like she put the nail on the head of what it was when I was doing Red Chair Alley. She's like, "Oh, so you're making a found space venue." I
Oh,
mean, that just rolls off her tongue, and I'm like, so 30 years I've been doing this, and you finally, I guess it's a real
just like
thing.
that.
And, I just had never heard that term before. But if you go and find space that's not traditionally a theater or a place to perform, and you make it something, it's called found space in the industry.
Oh,
And
wow.
how I missed that memo, I have no idea. But so,
Yeah, I've never heard of it either.
yeah, so when we got the thing, I wanted to pay some tribute to her, because I felt like I was just like a light bulb came on. I'm like, I've been doing this for 30 years, and you just told me what I did. It was great. So
Sometimes it just takes that one person. It's like,
yeah.
oh yeah, thanks for that. So you kind of told us a little bit about your vision. Like, can you tell us about the vision behind Found Space and how it's been received by the community out there?
Well, in a small town, you're going to have a um, small participation level, but I think per capita, is that the word on the marketing
Hmm.
term I'm using?
Yeah.
We're a success. We're sold out per capita. We're doing very well for the size of space of like people, that want that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's going very, very well. Excuse me. It is what do I guess I should say, the venue, which is Precision Coffee Company, one I always wanted to be in a coffee shop.
Hmm.
So that was kind of cool that I think they, I don't want to say this, I guess I'll just say it like that. I think they felt kind of sorry for me. Like they'd seen that I was putting in some hard work and they saw that what I was doing wasn't working out. And they were like, so they kind of reached out and they said, "Hey, what's it going to take to kind of bring your vision together?"
Hmm.
And so I'd never really had somebody just like kind of do that. Usually it's me knocking on their door, trying to get sponsors or whatever, but they just kind of was like, "Hey, what can we do to make this work?" And I was like, "Okay, this is cool." And I know the guy that owns the coffee shop, and we've done some things, some collabs, in the past. So it's not like we're total strangers.
Hmm.
But they really wanted to do something. They just really wanted to believe in it. And he said, "I know this is not something that's just going to happen overnight, and I was like, "Yeah." So we've put a plan together for 12 months.
Hmm.
We have 2 shows a month, not overdoing it, but not underdoing it either.
Hmm.
And and we've had real good success because there was a lot of people that wanted to play Red Cherry Alley already. And I've just networked with artists for years, so I've got a lot of friends, extended family, so to speak. And they people are just really looking for somebody to say, "This is about you. This is what you want to do." I'm not going to tell you what songs to play. I'm not, other than I want it to be yours. I'm not going to tell you, not to be you. And so when you say that, people are like, "Hey, well, that's cool." Because probably no one else is saying that, or somebody might be, but very few are.
Hmm.
I'm like, "Hey, you got a song out." And so we really wanted to, instead of most places when you go in and everybody's like, and it's not uncool to have like a famous person, but everybody gets so excited about famous people, and I do too. But what we kind of in our core meeting was, and this was, like I said, something I wanted to do at Red Cherry Alley already, but the meeting is we're going to make someone famous instead of getting someone famous. You
Hmm.
know, so let's flip the switch. And it's not as easy to get a big draw when you're saying, when we say, "Hey, you know, um, Leonard Skinner's coming tonight," everybody knows who that is. So there's like, it's easy to get attention. So when you say, Roxie and the Moon King is coming tonight, they're like, "Well, who's that?" And so you got to work a little harder to promote it, but you also have to work hard to promote the person who's already known. So why, if we're going to dump, X amount of money into promoting someone, why can't we just X amount of money into somebody that, that we want to help, that we want to help succeed? Because if they succeed in turn, then people would be like, one, they'll probably come play our venue again when they're famous or more famous, successful. But two, it helps someone out. It helps our region out, our everything. So I'm kind of crazy, but I think it'll work.
I think so too. I mean, we have to support our locals because the famous people started somewhere.
Yeah.
and and so much music has came out of this area of Missouri, up there in Nevada, up in Kansas City and Springfield. I mean, a lot of famous people came out of Missouri, so
Yeah.
that
And
is awesome.
it's surprising that the famous people that come out of like our town, most people don't even realize they,
Hmm.
yeah, it's like they came from here.
Right,
So,
right.
so it's so funny. It's like, what? Like, I'll be like, "Yeah, you hear that song? This guy wrote that. He lived down the street, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" That happened.
Because we have nothing else to do here.
Yeah. There's nothing to do but make music.
Right, right, right. So what kind of artists and genres have you been featuring so far?
Well,
And
we'll take anything, but primarily the role is something that can pretty much be for anybody. General audiences is what we're going for, but in the last couple weeks or last couple shows, I've realized that maybe general audience isn't necessarily what we are going for after all.
Mhm.
that's just a loose term saying that anybody, it's all ages, anybody could come in there. But I think we might start putting a little bit of a more of a something that's because we're really looking for people who are serious music, people that want really obscure, cool stuff. So so that might be there, but really, yeah, it's like if you are um you know doing a genre that's a genre, I guess where we would limit it, probably, I don't like to use, like, we don't want to censor anything necessarily, but we do kind of want to keep it because of the relationship. There's a big confusion on the where the coffee shop is located. It's actually inside of a church building.
Mhm.
So it's not a church, it's a privately owned company that leases the space. But however, we do have to kind of respect the people that own the building, you know what I mean? So I would say our limits aren't, and it's not that we couldn't have, anything. We just want to be respectful of who our landlord is, basically.
Right, right.
So but other than that, I mean, it's general audience, and again, we're welcoming families in, so we want, um I was probably the worst singer. I said I said ass the other day, and I would say it's just one of my lyrics. So we don't want to really, one of the questions of what the artist was like, we don't really want to suppress your lyrics. We're not telling you to change your lyrics. We're just saying, here, it's really up to you. This is what you're getting. And it goes both ways. I told my friend, he was like, well, I don't know about my song. What I said, just look out of the audience, and see. And it's really you. It's like, if you feel uncomfortable saying that to that audience, then don't do it.
Right.
But to me, I mean, I'm aware of what we're booking. We know what your content is when we ask you to come play.
Yeah.
So,
You're
so
just asking them to read the room.
yeah, yeah. It's open to all ages. It's not, we're not serving alcohol. Someone, and that's what I guess that's where I go with the thing. I'm like, someone from the church might be there. They might just come in because they also hang out at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
However, there's a lot of, like, I don't know, there's a lot of people that are completely, would never be caught dead in a church, that also hang out at the coffee shop. It's coffee shop.
Right.
So there's that. But we have, I guess, with Chris's relationship, the guy who owns the coffee shop, he actually goes to the church. So he might get in a little more trouble than I would. They might be like, Chris, what are you doing? So he has that going on. But however, I don't go to that church. So, but I do know them, and I do have to shake hands with them and see them face to face. So I try to, PG-13, I guess, is what I say. It's not an official rating, but so maybe the word ass, maybe not the F word, but like I said, if it's, I always tell people that I have songs that the F word is part of the song. It's very important to me that is in there. So,
Right.
but me as a person, I would look out, and if, it depends on who's there, and I would be like, I don't know if I want to, I would just throw the song off the set list, or I'm not scared of changing my lyrics because I play all over the place. So I have a song about Missouri. It's Welcome to Missouri. Well, when I'm in Kansas, I'm not going to say Welcome to Missouri. So I'm going to say Welcome to Kansas. So,
Mhm.
so I'm prepared to change my lyrics accordingly. But yeah, we're not trying to tell artists not to be who they are. We really are, very pro, and Chris is too, and I think, even honestly, even the landlords are, they're aware of what's going on, and if it's heavy metal night, it's heavy metal night. We're going to tell you on the flyer that's heavy metal. And if you are not prepared for heavy metal, maybe you don't want to come that night. So we're never, but if you come in and you're like, hey, it's just too darn heavy metal tonight. Well,
Yeah.
sorry. That's another thing I think that venues don't do sometimes, is venues want to, like, appease the crowd. And so then they're like, they book a band, and then the band comes in, and the band is who they are. And then the venue's like, uh-oh, but we only have people who like George Strait here tonight. We're not going to tell the band to be George Strait tonight. We're going to say, I'm sorry, you came on heavy metal night.
Right.
We're going to stick with our artists,
Right.
Like next week, we'll have a folk guy or a country guy next week. It's like, it's something, it's Missouri. So, if you don't like the weather today, just wait till tomorrow.
Yeah. Right. Right. So how do you go about selecting your artists for your lineup?
Well, the pay is small. So pretty much, if an artist is if an artist has music out, they're writing their own songs, and they have some sort of digital distribution. I'm
Mhm.
not going to say we would never have them if they didn't have digital distribution, but I would strongly recommend them that like they're probably not doing the right thing. If you're not going to go anywhere if you don't have some sort of digital distro, you know what I mean? I mean, you're not going to reach people, you know,
Mhm.
but they have to have some music out, and then they have to basically, again, they're going to be playing for less than what they would if they were like a hired cover band. It's not a gorgeous pay. It's just, it really, I would describe it as more like you're going to get some compensation for your gas. You know,
Mhm.
you're going to get some free, you know, food while you're there. So you're going to get a little bit of per diem and a little bit of gas. It's a promotional type of thing. But what we are going to do is we're going to, you know, they say, well, we want to come play, and I say play your hits. You know, we want to hear your songs. We want to hear what you have to offer, and that I think is appealing to artists that are really trying to sell their own merch and these things. And of course, they can sell their merch, and there's nothing like
Have a
the
tip jar and stuff.
yeah, they can get tips and they can sell their merch, and so um, really, to me, I feel like it's a pretty good for me. I feel like it's good money, honestly. I didn't have to drive that far. It's in my hometown.
Right.
If you look at it from the aspect of if you, because we really don't want inside, we really don't want a full band because the drums are just too abrasive in there. So
Yeah.
we're really looking for if you can play in a version of your music in a solo duo type combination. If you wanted to bring like a hand drum or something in, that'd be cool. Some of the artists are playing with background tracks a little bit.
Yeah.
And if it was in the springtime and you really wanted to bring your whole band, I'm not going to throw that out either. We might just have it outside and that would be okay. But because the room is just really concrete floors and lots of bricks, when
The
you get a
sound's
drum,
going to bounce around quite a
it's
bit.
it's really, and I dabble in sound engineering and stuff, and so without a room like that, without lots and lots of, you know, treating it and all this stuff, it's almost impossible to make it. And so I'm just like, let's just not do that. We want to keep it, you know, logistically. They have a PA, so if you're a solo artist and you have really, if you're a one person show,
Mhm.
it pays really well. If you're a one person show, when you're a two-person show, not so much. Get three in there, you're not making any money, you know, unless you're selling lots of merch. Um, but there's that. But I think that having a thing like that, and the other I think benefit of to it, and I guess I'm drifting from your question of how we select music, but the other benefit to the artist is that we're not really going to have another artist. It's their night, and it's a, you know, we're really going to emphasize them, and we only ask them to play an hour, um, and we also ask them not to play longer than an hour and a half. So it's like we don't want you to play longer than an hour and a half, and we want you to play. Really, I'm going to even change that to where we say, please play an hour, and that's it,
Mhm.
because a lot of artists too, if you're new, you might not have a whole catalog, but an hour you could have one album out and you could have enough to play an hour. So that's kind of the thinking behind that too. So, but
Okay. So, what's been one of the most memorable performances or moments at Found Space so far?
of course, my performance.
Of course, it was your birthday.
Madison Gregory was amazing.
Yeah.
Uh, she is just awesome. So I'm a fan of Madison, and I think she's going to go global soon. So
Yeah, she was really good.
yeah,
Had her, well, obviously had her on the show to promote her show at Found Space, and I love her voice.
yeah, yeah,
Definitely Taylor Swift's slash Alanis Morissette, I think she said the combo combo was that people have told her. I'm like, well, that's really cool. I could hear it. I could hear it.
yeah. She's a Swift Morissette child, definitely.
Let's see. So let's talk about the Nevada music scene. And what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna do like a monthly update with Doug at the beginning of the month just to find out what's going on and up there because I mean, you guys have that cool music scene up there. We have a cool music scene down here, and people need to travel up there too.
Yeah.
I
Strange,
said,
strangely enough, the music scene, from my perspective, I have always been somehow connected to Springfield. We are
Hmm.
really connected. I think it's because of the college there,
Hmm.
really. Because when I was younger, my friends all went. The majority of them ended up in Springfield at college. When we were younger, in like eighth and seventh and eighth grade, we wanted to live in Springfield.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
something about it's just a little. It's far enough to be far away, but close enough to be close.
Yep. Yep.
And what I liked about Springfield on the music side of things is I felt like Springfield was very pro original band.
Hmm.
And I'm talking like a decade ago too,
Yeah.
or maybe
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
decades
That's,
ago.
yeah.
It was very more progressive in that regard of more like what was happening in California at the time.
Hmm.
Springfield and St. Louis were really that here.
Hmm.
Not that Joplin wasn't, but Joplin was more kind of centered around more like cover band entertainment type of thing. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
there
Yeah.
were original bands, but not as many original venues.
That's true. And Joplin's growing a little too right now, which is
Yeah, it
crazy with
has
their music scene
changed.
a little
But,
bit.
but I love the Springfield thing, and I saw that we needed as far as Nevada goes. What happened for me was in 2003 there was the first of its kind venue opened here, and it was a pizza place slash it had a theater. They called it a pizza theater. So
Hmm.
it had like a small stage, and it had, they served beer, but it was not really a bar. It was more of a place that artists could perform. It's really set up for that. And then beer was kind of the just a amenity, so to speak. And they started doing a lot of blues music in there. And then for our small town, I think basically I would say just the amount of people that are interested in music here wasn't maybe enough to really sustain because they were getting some very expensive, like high end bands that were touring blues bands and whatnot. And so the ticket price being more than $10 was an issue to the Nevada. People didn't understand why they would play it because they didn't know who these people were, but yet they were on labels and stuff. But again, it was blues, so it was like it was alien to them.
Right.
So they were like, "What? $25? No." They just didn't want it that. It wasn't going to work. So the guy, I was really interested in it, and the guy said, "Well, why don't you just run our stage for us? You book bands. Here's our budget. We want to do this. This is what we can sustain." And so he just let me go. And I think he kind of just had given up, honestly. But
Hmm.
I was really excited because it was a great room. So I was like, all right, so we need something that Nevada can see. We got to kind of teach them, like, and we can't just be one genre because we're already seeing that one genre just wasn't working.
Hmm.
So we need multi-genre. We need something that variety. And so I just started reaching out to Springfield bands and getting them to come up because I knew what they were making down there, and I was like, we can really make this work where they're making fair pay and they're happy and they're coming somewhere to a new audience.
Hmm.
And it worked for a while. It was really cool because it was a neat venue, and so that really got me in that. And I had come home from Springfield. I'd been to Springfield too. I was down there in college, so I had a bunch of connections. So we started doing that, Nevada and Springfield, and then it's always been symbolic. And here we are again, Nevada and Springfield together again.
Oh, awesome. So how would you describe the current state of the Nevada music scene?
It's at an all-time high. You can't necessarily see it though, but if you're somebody like me who's looking at it from a music industry kind of insider perspective, it's fantastic because we've got something like, by my count, there's 8 venues that host live music. Now they don't do it every night, but for a town of 8,300 to have 8 venues that host live music, that's huge.
Yeah.
Broke it down because the numbers really support. We have about 600 music fans in Nevada. Okay, so out of the 8,300, there's 600 of them that would like music. So if you broke that up into 8 venues, it would support itself. It would work. There could be enough people to go around. They could all have a show the same night, and if those 600 people came out, it would work. However, we don't usually get 600. Our average attendance is typically 60 to 100 for a show. But even at 60, that's workable for a regional artist. 60 works, you know. So and because if you got 100, you're having a really good night. But I've saw our best shows. I've seen shows recently where there was, now they weren't all there at one time, but I've saw 200. I think the biggest show I saw lately is about 211 through there. And that was divided up in a 6 hour period. So 211 people came through the door, bought something, whatever, experienced the thing, you know. So that's pretty cool. I mean,
That is
that's
really cool. That is really cool to see
and then
that.
we have other things. There's other opportunities like some community civic stuff going on too. So those are added into the, you know, so um, four of the venues that have music are dealing with agents. So that's cool.
Yeah, that is.
Um, we have, you know, we have a college. I didn't count that in one of the regular venues, but we do have a college that also brings in groups. And then there's several of the area churches that are bringing in touring groups. In fact, two churches are throwing together to bring in a like a I believe they're a major label gospel act that's going to play at the community theater. So basically, two churches rented out the community theater and are throwing this show, and it's free. I don't even think it costs to get in.
Wow.
So that's kind of cool. Yeah, and
That is really cool.
I couldn't tell you what their name was, but they have I believe they had a like a contract at some point, maybe not now, but they had records out, you know, maybe on RCA or something like that. So big time stuff.
Awesome. So are there any new artist bands or projects that people should be keeping an eye on?
Yes, they should be watching Dangerous Doug.
Yes.
New album. No, but really, I have a new album coming out March 13th. It's called Red Cherry Tragedy, and it is my finest work. I spent 2 years working on these tracks, so
Wow.
off
That's
and on,
fun.
and it's going to be great. A.M. Jameson has two new singles out up here. I
Mhm.
think you know him. He's been on your show before.
Mhm.
We have a guy named Nathan Ost up here. He has I think he has like 4 or 5 singles. He's been just been releasing a single about every 3 months. He's been putting out singles, and he's been going down to Nashville and recording. And so he's doing some cool stuff. Then we have a couple transplants from up here. We have a girl named Marcy Mitchell. She lives in Nashville. She's got a couple albums out. I don't think she has anything real new right now, but she's doing really well. It's kind of cool because I heard her song played in the I was at the one of the DJ shows the other night, and somebody had requested her song, so I was like, hey, that's cool. And she still gets a lot of plays on the local radio station, and so does Nathan Ost because we have a country station. So if they're country artists, they do. Our local station really supports the local artists. So that's going on, and then my brother does a lot of songs. He's not so into digital distribution, but he does a lot of like CD releases and sells them at the shows. He does a lot of farmer market type stuff, sells the CDs out of his car, which is cool. And he really likes that kind of thing. And then we have this gal named Kylie Ost. She's cousins to Nathan. And she's really playing around the area. She does a lot of all the like coffee shops, all the breweries, and she's really talented. And I just saw the other day she's working on her first new original tune.
Ooh,
So
a
we got
lot
some
of things going on for sure. So, have there been any recent changes or developments in the local venues, festivals, or music culture that you would like to share?
the changes. I like it. You're a good question asker. I have to think about these things, but there really has been, I think, some changes, and I think that changes mainly, and this has been a while, but it isn't so recent, but it is something that I think that maybe the average person isn't quite in tune to. So if they're watching, we have a Mexican restaurant called Casa Azteca,
Mhm.
and a lot of people are really like, it's kind of like has the most amount of music in a month. So they do pretty frequent shows there. Maybe, you know, they might have 4 shows in a month. Maybe they might have 6. They do a lot of stuff, especially when the patio's open, when it's warmer. They have an outside patio that can accommodate a full band. You know what I mean? It's big enough that you could have a band there and everything.
Mhm.
So, but they're typically booking again solo and duo artists just because it works better with the budget, you know. But they work with an agent, and they get lots of artists coming through, and they tend to lean on the country genre a little bit. They'll have any genre, but they tend to lean on the country. But these artists, some of them have records out that are one of the girls that came through was on she's a catalog artist on Sony, and she had a release on, I believe, I can't think of what the name, how you say the name of the record label, but they're owned by Sony, obviously. But she had a song out that was on the radio in 2012, and then it was an EP that was released, and then she didn't get the full album released, so she's just kind of a free agent now. But then Sony released her catalog album, and so she's on Sony Legacy. But she was just there one night, and that was kind of cool because, you know, the average person didn't realize it, but she had some fans in there that like knew her songs and were really into her songs, and I was pretty impressed with that. And she comes through times. Her name was what was her name? Dang it, I'm forgetting. I should have my notes ready, but there's another girl. The other girl that comes through is Casey Johns, I think's her name. She's down in Nashville. Anyway, long story short, they're all down in Nashville and they're all touring all over America. Well, they come through Nevada, and the Nevada people are just, they don't quite get it sometimes. But I'm like, guys, these guys are really, they're on the, they're in the thing that's happening. They're in the machine that's happening. And all their records are really well produced and produced by notable producers in Nashville and all these kind of things, So from that side of things, I'm just like, they're like, well, why are they playing Nevada? And I'm like, well, they need you. I mean, they need our 600 people here to be their fan too,
Right.
So I really think, and the guy that owns the place, his name's Israel. He just really loves music. So so he's in it for the long haul, opposed to some venues just are in it for a quick buck kind of thing. But he's in it for really developing a thing of a place to have, entertainment in the town, and it's working really well.
That's awesome. So other than the upcoming Found Space, what other happenings or events going on out there in Nevada coming up?
Sawyer's going to be in town 27th of March. Sawyer will be at the college. Don't know who Sawyer is. That's with a Y. It's these two young ladies. They're based out in Nashville now, and they're just amazing songwriters. And it's kind of a new type of pop. I actually think they call it like bedroom pop or something. I'm not even sure what the exact genre is, but it's really selling well with the college students, especially the young ladies, this time of this decade, so to speak. But they have like 100,000 followers or something like that. Wow. And like, they're not a household name. So I'm like, these guys are going to explode, but they're awesome. They fly into Kansas City, and then they rent a car and drive down to play Nevada at the college. Yeah. So it's I mean, and people don't realize that's happening. They're just like, oh, who are those people? I'm like, well, they're flying in from Nashville, and so. And then if you're in the touring circuit, when I talk to other artists that are on the touring circuit, they're running into them all the time because they're at the same festivals and these kind of things. So they're at all the right places. They might have been, I'm not even joking, they might have been at like, say, one of the like side stages that say like Lollapalooza or something like that. They may have like stage 3,
Yeah.
You don't really hear about those
artists. Those smaller stages.
Yeah, but there's still like 60,000 people available.
Right. It doesn't matter which stage you get to play on, as long as you play it.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. So they're doing stuff like that. I know there was another girl that came through. In fact, she is awesome. Her name is Emma Jude. You should definitely look her up if you aren't. She's from New York. Her claim to fame was why she got booked at the college was she was on a Carnival cruise tour, and they were real impressed by that. Which it is impressive to work for Carnival Cruise, but
right.
But she is a powerful songwriter, and she's fantastic. I love her voice and all that. Well, anyway, where I was going with this is she plays at, if you've ever heard of the Viper Room in California, which is like, all the important people go to the Viper Room. And I'm like, I just noticed it on her thing. I was like, Emma, you played at the Viper Room? She's like, oh yeah, I did the Viper Room.
Oh, wow. Like,
But
yeah.
this place called the Candy Shop in New York, if you've ever heard of it, it's a renowned place that has very small venue that has, all these artists that have emerged have came through there. So they're doing the thing. They're just
Oh,
not
that's
household names yet, but yeah, they're all coming through Nevada.
really
And
exciting.
it's really cool.
Okay, so what are your goals for Found Space in the upcoming months? Any exciting plans or collaborations in the works?
We want you to introduce one of the bands. So
Ah, well, that
yeah,
would be fun.
we're pretty sure you need to introduce Roxy and the Moon King.
Oh, yes, Roxy and the Moon King. I love
Just
Roxy and the Moon King.
just
I'm excited about that.
jump in their car when they're coming up and just ride up with them. And
Hey, I'm gonna take a ride with you guys. They
that's
are
what
so
we want.
good. They are really, really good. I'll probably repost their
Yeah.
balcony session. Uh
Yes, that
so
was fantastic. And then they did an entry for the little tiny desk thing too.
they did.
Did somebody win that yet? I haven't seen.
I don't know. I haven't looked. I haven't looked in a while. But that's really cool that they did that. Okay, yeah. So, how can people support and get involved in the Nevada music scene?
Okay, so if you want to play Nevada, if you want to play Found Space, you go to the group page, facebook.com/groups forward space found space precision, and just tell us you want to get involved or you want to play. We will get you set up. However, we are booked out for the whole year, but we'll put you on a waiting list. And if somebody cancels, we'll slide you in earlier. If not, we'll go ahead and book. We'll just start booking out a year. It'll go good. If you want to play at Casa, you need to talk to a guy named Israel Carlin. Or if you are connected with James Ferguson, he is the agent that Israel works with non-exclusively, but most of the shows are booked through James. So you'd have maybe a better shot at getting through there. But Israel's a really cool guy. So he's kind of like me, just like you say, hey, I want to play. He'll give you a shot a lot of times just to do it. And then, after that, if you mess up, you might not get a second gig, but
Yeah, don't mess up.
everybody's worth one try, right?
Right.
Um, if
Questions?
you want to play Cotty College, you got to talk to a guy named Dakota Johnson. He is the booking agent. I mean, he's the person in charge of those kind of events. However, on a college, there's different organizations. So you could go through different organizations that have different events. So there's that. But as far as like just getting a gig at the college, and in fact, I'll say this: Dakota is very interested. So write this down, area artists. He is very interested in solo and duo artists to perform in the recital hall for the students. So if you think you're appealing for an all girls college and you are in the region, he is interested in hearing from you. You do have to kind of give yourself, I'll give you some pointers on it. You want to give them all the things because they're dealing with, like I said, they also book people that are giant major label artists. So they're used to seeing somebody that has a good package together. So make sure you have all the promo links and all the things that you should have in order.
Yeah,
And
update your EPK, make sure it looks
yeah, update your EPK and be prepared to, be paid by, W-9s and all these logistic things that go with music industry stuff. So have your things together on that end of it. But other than that, they're very, very cool to work for. And Dakota is really awesome. But again, you're appealing to, young college students, and this is an all girls female school. They're also very pro LGBTQ. So if you're an artist that falls into that, they really like that a lot too. So, and of course, if you're a empowered female artist that is about empowering women, they will snatch you up. They like that too. So hint, Madison Gregory, you should play there.
Yeah, yes.
You just had Ivy King played up there the other day.
Oh, that's so cool. I think I saw your pictures with her.
It was a cool show. Ivy
Yeah,
King.
I love her. She's been on the show a few times.
Yeah.
The show a
Oh,
few times.
those students loved her. It was so great. I mean, I did too. And I invited guests in because it wasn't actually open to the public. So I was like, telling my boss, I was like, I'm inviting people. So I had a few guests that came in that were,
Yeah.
They loved it. Her show was great. So
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. Do you see any challenges for the local music community, and how can artists and fans help to overcome them?
challenges. The challenges is our biggest challenge, I think, for Nevada and probably everywhere is that it is really hard to let people know what's going on. Even when you're really, really promoting, you're going above and beyond to promote. It's still cutting through that whatever that gray area is out there that gets in the way of us.
Mm,
I think some of it is, quite frankly, the social medias are suppressing us and they don't want us to get out. So the
right.
algorithms are not our friends sometimes.
It really isn't.
But yeah, they'll say, I didn't hear about it, and you'll ask them, like, where would you look? And a lot of times they don't have a real answer of how they would find out for it anyway. So people like, your show is great. But even when you're doing it regular, like I even have a podcast, I'm like, just listen to my podcast.
Mhm.
But they forget even those things that are available on a regular basis. So
Yeah, and this attention span type of thing. So, I love podcasts, I love video casts, and I'll have it in the background and stuff. But you have to remember to even play it.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So that is a challenge, and I really don't know.
how to overcome it.
Uh,
Just doing the little shorts. I mean, this is what I'm trying to figure out too from
I
down
think,
here.
yeah, I think we're all trying to figure this out across the nation. So
Yeah, it is very frustrating because, Facebook, even if you put an event up, it doesn't always show up under events, I've noticed. And that's why on the scene, that's why we were creating a list, because you couldn't find everything on
mhm.
Facebook events. It wasn't always showing. So
Yeah,
can't rely on that.
yes.
So we have, well, you have the show with Roxy and the Moon King, Springfield's Roxy and the Moon King. That's the 8th, isn't it?
Seventh, I
Or
think.
7th? 7th,
I
yes.
believe.
It's
I
one of
can't grab my calendar.
yes, it is the 7th. Friday the 7th.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's an 8 p.m. show. However, we are coming in April. We're going to start doing the shows at 7 because our audiences in Nevada are early birds. So I don't know why, but
Oh, we're here. It's here too. A lot of shows they're doing the earlier shows, like the um uh like Mother's Brewery or something. All the breweries are usually the earlier shows. A lot of
yeah,
people like that.
yeah. Well, in the coffee shop, their angle is they're going to offer more food items,
Hmm.
so people will be able to have more dining options, and they're going to try to tie it in with you can eat and hear the show. So there's that. But also, we took a consensus with the ones that are regulars, and our regulars don't care. They're gonna come early. It doesn't matter to them. They'll come at 8 if we have it at 8. So we're hoping just to be able to enhance new blood by doing it earlier. That's kind of that angle.
Well, that's awesome. So where can people find more information about Found Space and other upcoming shows?
Again, you can listen. Of course, you're gonna plug us, so you can listen
Mhm.
to you. And you can listen to Lunch with Doug, the podcast, or you can go right to that. You have to be a Facebook member, but our Facebook presence, and that's something to go with Nevada. There's a lot more people in Nevada that use Facebook more than any of the other ones. So
Mhm.
we spend a lot of our time in Facebook. However, I do understand that some of the younger audiences aren't really as into Facebook. So there's catch 22, but so we've created that group, and you have to be a Facebook member, of course, to do that. But it's facebook.com/groups/found space precision. And it updates all the time. There's a lot of activity going there. And it's all about found space. So there's pictures and there's when the events are going, and you can interact. So all things that are great about groups and Facebook. So we found that that's been very successful for us, and the numbers are always growing of people.
Awesome. So any final thoughts or shout outs to the Nevada music community?
Well, I do want to shout out. I do appreciate the Daily Mail did a nice article about me and the
They
other day.
did. I like
Thank
that.
you, Daily Mail, for that.
Yeah.
Really appreciate them.
Yeah,
It
and
is,
congratulations, by the way. That's really exciting. A sold out show.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't take as much to sell out the coffee shop, as it does.
Still,
So
it's exciting. A sold out show.
it sounds bigger than it really is, but it is. It was nice to know that we're succeeding and Found Space is succeeding, and it wasn't just mine. We'd had the one before also, so it's really moving forward. So that's great, and I love it when traditional media supports us. Because they all have sports pages, but they don't always have music pages in the small towns. So it's nice to get
Right.
things out there. And
Well,
they mentioned on the scene too.
yes, thanks you. Thank
What
you.
a what a deal.
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, thank you, Doug. And I'm excited to do these monthly check-ins to find out what's going on out there and let people down here know about it too.
Yeah, I appreciate everything your efforts, and I know they don't know, the listeners don't know, but our viewers, but you had to contact me like 7 times because I'm in play week this week at the college, so it's
Yeah.
like it was tech week, so it's a madhouse. My life is a madhouse, but so like 7 tries and we got this done, but it's great.
Finally, yay!
And I guess I'll add on that again, the symbolic relationship with your scene and our scene is we want the Springfield people to know that they're very welcome in the Nevada scene, and we'd like to have them venture up here. So
Mhm.
so if there's any kind of collab city to city, like Springfield artists, we understand that. I don't know why. It's just something special
We
about it.
we just need to do the scene swapping,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And I mean, I would love to have more Nevada artists on my show too. So yeah, just
Well,
that would be cool.
and the funny thing is, see, the Springfield scene is loaded with Nevada artists. They're just people don't know that they're Nevada, but like Justin Larkin graduated in Nevada. There's one of your guys.
I had no idea. It's just
Ryan Wallace, Random Strangers.
mhm.
Random Strangers was a Nevada band before they were a Springfield band. Alamo Black was a Nevada band before they were a Springfield
I
band.
had no out really.
Uh,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, and the list
The
really goes.
list just goes on.
So we have a lot of people that have emerged in
Mm.
Springfield that are from here. So this has been
Wow.
going on for a while.
Wow. Well, new ones if they pop up. Otherwise, I'm gonna start asking people when I get them on the show. Are you from Nevada? Do not deny.
Larkin's very secretive about
Yeah,
it.
I've had him on the show. I don't remember him telling
Yeah.
me that.
He never mentions us. He forgot all about
Oh,
us. He got famous and left us. No.
oh, it's so sad. Oh
He,
well.
he comes back and plays though sometimes.
Well, at least he still gives you guys some
So
love.
we see him, and his shows always do good. In fact, his show there was like, oh, his show was off the hook. He played at Casa a while back.
Yeah.
Off the hook. Everybody in town showed up. It
Oh
was
wow.
great. It was like a blast. It really was.
Yeah, he's a really good artist.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Doug. And I hope everybody is able to venture out there to the Nevada scene from here at some point. I know I still have to. I've never been there still. So I hope you have a great show with Roxy and the Moon King if I can't make it. And who's after Roxy and the Moon King?
Ryan Wallace and
Oh, Ryan Wells.
Skylar will be with him. I think they go by Bush. What is it? Bush Heavy down there, but they didn't tell me what their name was, so I just put Ryan and Skylar on the flyer. But I believe they're doing Random Stranger tunes, and because Ryan writes most of those, and I think they'll probably do whatever they're doing with their Bush Heavy thing.
Awesome. Well, again, well, thank you, everybody. Go check out his page. Go check out what Doug's up to. There's always something you're doing. I always see your posts. So until next time, guys, make sure to stay safe and come join us out on the scene.